it is truly a pleasure to welcome everybody here today. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce Jason Floyd, SVP and GM of Infor, who will be our guest today for our one-on-one executive session sponsored by HFTP, which is great. We're really happy to be working with them. And Jason, welcome.
Thanks, Alan. Man, it's great to be seen, as I've always said, especially through this pandemic. So thanks for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. And you know, we're excited. Jason, you and I have known each other for quite a while, and I was, I think if I did the numbers correctly, you've been in the hospitality tech space for about 24 years now. If I add up everything, not that I want anybody to make us think that we're way too old to be doing this. But some of the things that I was digging into when I was doing my research was other things in your background that people might not know about. And then, we can kind of go into more Infor specific content. So you were part of the military for quite a while and actually got heavily involved in that. Mm-hmm. And then the one thing that people probably don't know is you've been a part of a cattle farm that's been in your family now for 4 generations.
That's correct. Yes, since 1872. Yes.
Can you tell us about those two things, and then I will go ahead and
Well, we'll start out with the military first.
Sure.
I joined the Army when I was a junior in high school, believe it or not, and went through basic training between my junior and senior year, and then was fortunate or unfortunate enough to catch the tail end of the first Gulf War. So. Never, thank goodness for myself and my family. I never got into live action, but was sent over and spent quite a bit of time over in theater doing what they would call cleanup work, which as I think about now, it might have been better for me to actually be in action because that cleanup work was some hard stuff. But the military teaches young women and men some really good principles. It teaches discipline. It teaches chain of command. It teaches critical thinking on your feet. So I have indoctrinated those principles throughout my entire career, and I'm very, very pleased for my time in the military. I raised to the rank of sergeant, and through that, the military paid for my education to go through hotel school at Kansas State University, and then I went into served a little bit of time directly as an operator after the Army, and decided, wow, I want to make more money.
Makes sense,
right? So But as well as I do, once you get into hospitality, it just gets in your blood, or it doesn't, right? And if it doesn't, you exit quickly. But if it does, and whether that's restaurants or hotels or clubs, it's in your blood. And so it definitely was in my blood. And so I knew I wanted to stay in the industry. But I said, well, I've always been good with technology. It's part of what I did in the military was I was a supply chain specialist. So working on computers, doing massive supply chain, and we're talking massive logistics in the military, right? So everything was computerized, and I was on a computer every day, and I thought, I like computers. So why don't I try hospitality technology? Well, 23 and a half years later, here I am. So here I am.
That's awesome.
So the cattle ranch, yes. Again, it was been in the family since 1872. I'm actually sitting in the living room of the home that I grew up in.
Wow.
This is I'm down for the weekend. I try and get down, once or twice a month and work on the ranch. It helps, recenter you sometimes. We all get so involved with our screens and with email and video conferencing and everything like that. It's good to recenter yourself, and ranch does that for me. So
fishing does it for me. It's cathartic, and I never take anything out. I always throw them back, but the ones that give me the best fight are the ones that I have the most fun with.
Exactly. That's right.
So you've been at Infor for 9+ years now. You were at Agilicis prior to that.
15 years.
You've got a very broad base of knowledge, and you're incredibly well respected in the industry. We have hit a massive road bump over the past 18 months. And one of the things I really wanted to understand was, how has Infor corporately dealt with that? How has Infor Hospitality dealt with that? Because obviously we've been impacted, we're the tip of the spear, it feels
Yeah,
like.
yeah, great.
And then finally, personally, you kind of alluded to it just a minute ago, heading out, at the ranch. But yeah, if you could give me some viewpoints on
Yeah.
how you've dealt with that.
Well, as you said, we have been at the tip of the spear. I think Infor has reacted like most companies. We didn't know what was going to be next, and every day something was changing. When we went into lockdown, that was a scary period for not only our industry but employees of all the vendors that serve that industry, right? Because we had no idea how long the lockdown was going to be, how long we could make payroll, right? We're a big company, but even big companies have to look at a pandemic and say, what's next? How long can we weather this storm? So it was tough. We, like every other company, other than one of our offices, which is our manufacturing facility where we do our point of sale hardware, we've had to shut everything else down for quite a long time. Now we're reopening, but that was the only facility we kept open, and we kept it open because of necessity, right? We had to continue to get those point of sale terminals shipped and repaired because, as you're well aware, hotels closed their doors, but things like fast food, it started booming. Yep. Right. Yep. And Sonic is actually one of our largest customers in my food and beverage division. And, they needed terminals and they needed them out the door because they had long lines at their restaurant. So that we had to figure out. We had to figure out skeleton crews, and how to rotate staff and keep them social distanced. But like everybody else in the industry, whether it was a hotel or a restaurant or a vendor, we figured it out, and we're sort of slowly coming out of this pandemic. It's I think it's going to be lingering around for hopefully not much longer. But I read a statistic that most pandemics last start to finish about 4 years, and so think about it. We're squarely in year 2 now. I think we probably have 2 more years of restrictions going up and down, up and down, up and down, and a recovery period through that.
Right. Very, it's so true. So as Infor was in certain areas, it was probably in a state of stasis, right? It wasn't doing too much. And then you have other areas that are probably full bore. What did, one of the things I remember from my time at Infor was asking for money to do development, right? And justifying how much you needed and all the man hours or man years that you needed to develop. So this time actually gave a lot of partners in our industry time to kind of recenter and look at what they were developing. What did Infor Hospitality do related to your R&D spend over this time?
Well, you're absolutely correct. We did invest heavily into our R&D. We redirected a lot of funding to it. We couldn't deploy software for a period of about 6 to 9 months, where just because customers didn't have their doors open. So we did redirect a lot of our services budget to R&D, and then Infor is very lucky to be owned by Coke Industries, right? So Coke gave us that breathing room that we could weather the pandemic for a very long time and continue to invest heavily into our products. So that's exactly what we did. And we looked at the market and what the market needed. And of course, everybody was saying at pretty universally of, well, there is a whole new way of needing to deliver services to guests. The requests remain the same, but we need a new way of delivering. So we had to adapt our solutions to make that possible. And whether that was taking our table management solutions and making sure that only every other table could be booked, or our property management system and adapting new algorithms in our housekeeping rotations to where It takes longer to clean a room, or only every other floor might be being sold. So all of those different algorithms for our rotation logic was put in. And then we also, because as you're well aware, we have revenue management systems.
Right.
A lot of people said, why do I need a revenue management system when I'm at such low occupancy? And we actually said the opposite. We said, well, actually, this is probably when you need a revenue management system the most. You need to look at, the occupancy that you do have and make sure you're maximizing the revenue that comes out of it. So we adapted all of our algorithms in our RMS products to take into fact different COVID and occupancy factors and restrictions and all of the new input of data that was coming in to adapt. Right. So it's been exciting, and it's been actually very well received by our customers.
That's cool, because I know, I was around back in the days when EasyRMS was purchased by Infor, and the RM portion of the world right now in our industry is incredibly important, especially as we move towards attribute-based selling and all of these weird things that people are going to be looking for in the future.
That's right.
You just got back from a 9-day whirlwind trip in Europe. I don't know. I think we were talking 7 or 8 cities in that time.
Yeah, 7 cities and countries, correct.
Wow. Yeah. And so, related to RM or property management or F&B or all of these different assets that you have corporately, what were the hoteliers or the people that you were meeting with? What were they saying was, their pain points or their wish list?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is certainly something that again is globally what we're seeing is hotels are looking for ways to be more efficient. They have the lowest staff levels ever. Some of that is by design, some of that is by necessity, some of that is just because they can't find enough folks to fill the positions that they have open, right? So we're certainly seeing from all of our customers help us be more efficient. And so we are that's something we've been working on since beginning, actually, because it sort of led itself into the social distancing aspect of, okay, let's do more on mobility, right? So let's increase the guest experience through mobile applications so they can do more, whether it be housekeeping requests or food and beverage requests right from their phone. And there have been companies that have been focused on this for years. We've all known that, and we've partnered with those companies. But it's become very apparent from our customers that they wanted our property management systems, our point of sale systems, even our sales and catering systems to be more mobile enabled. So that if they are lucky enough to start getting conferences back, they can service those conferences with less staff, right? So we all remember it's cold in this meeting room, so you pick up the phone, you try and find your meeting planner to come adjust the temperature in the meeting room. Well, what if we just give the group meeting planner, right, the person in the meeting room, the ability to request that on their phone, saying, I need the temperature turned down in this room. So and shoot that across. It pops up in our sales and catering system to all the people looking at it, and they say, okay, let's adjust the meeting room over in the Arrowhead room. So that's type of technology. The other thing we're doing, Alan, is we are becoming far more efficient in our support delivery, right? Because again, our customers don't have the time to be on the phones with us when they are as short staffed as they are. So we have now introduced in-app chat in all of our solutions, and we're seeing amazing adoption from it. We've had in-app chat for years in our support portal, right? And this was an interesting statistic from my vice president of support. He told me, he said, Jason, we've had support chat in the portal for going on 5 years, and in 5 years it was used 50 times. Since in the first month that we actually put it inside of the solution instead of the support portal inside of HMS, our property management system, it was used 600 times in the first month. So again, it's just showing that the customers are eager to be more efficient, and we're resolving more challenges for them on our support lines faster and easier because our agents can see what's on their screen. They don't have to be on the phones and us pointing, okay, can you go over here, right? So those types of efficiencies we're delivering because customers need them to be able to reopen and continue to work through this as we all recover.
Wow. And so that's very interesting because that kind of dovetails into my next question. As you can see, I'm a bit of a car freak. Um,
I've always known
and
that about you.
and one of the things that I love doing is just kind of going on websites and checking out what new cars are available. What is Ford doing? What's Chevrolet doing? What is Honda doing? Invariably, I get a chatbot that asks me the generic questions of, how may I help you, all that kind of stuff. And as soon as I ask them what their favorite color is, they kind of blow up
Yeah.
because of the implementation of the AI. So Infor, within the myriad of verticals that you tackle, obviously artificial intelligence and machine learning are part of that whole world now.
Yeah.
Are you inserting a lot of that into the Infor hospitality platforms available today?
We are. Artificial intelligence and machine learning have always been a part of our RMS solutions, right?
Yes.
And
Yep.
and so we're starting to take that same type of learning and adapting it to our other solutions. And that sales and catering is probably what we're doing first, for example. So we're looking at how AI and machine learning can help us rearrange a function book in a more efficient way. So more meetings can be booked into a conference hotel without, sacrificing revenue, because there's always been that question of, okay, well, if I move this meeting here and slot this one over here, maybe I can fit this group. Well, wouldn't it be great if the computer could just start learning those things and making those recommendations instead of someone having to stare at an on-screen function book and figuring all that out? So those types of things we're already working on. We're also working on ways to do machine learning and AI by learning our guest profiles more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can make better recommendations to our customers of, well, this guest always likes this room. So making sure that we're always prompting that and making sure that we use things like our upsell technology to upsell to customers using that machine learning and AI based on their previous spend history and their previous guest history of,
Right.
okay, we know this guest always takes the upgrade. Every time it's offered, it's always taken. So let's make sure we use machine learning to make sure that always goes out to the guests. So those types of things we're working on.
Right. And with upgrades and upselling, that it's very interesting because, you'll get these offers and some will be, not committed and some are committed,
Right.
et cetera. And there is an element there with the merchandising aspect where people at the front desk have that capability to kind of, offer those and in our world now be remunerated for doing that. Is that something, that you're tracking within hospitality using it and your not HMS, but you've got a human capital management solutions within
We do.
Infor as well.
Correct.
So do those kind of things dovetail into what you're
They
doing?
do. Yes, they absolutely do. So we do try to connect all of our different solutions through our Mingle and Ion platform to make sure that
Right.
machine learning is not individual to a specific solution, but it's across the entire Infor suite. And human capital management is a perfect example of that. So and it's something that many of our larger customers, especially in areas like gaming, do use.
Right.
So, and gaming, boy, talk about a part of our industry that's been heavily hit by the pandemic. A lot of distressed inventory. So a lot of opportunity for the inventory that they are selling to upsell that and to reward their employees through our human capital management
Right.
system
Right.
to do so. So yes, that all is working hand in hand together.
Right. So what's it like working for Kevin Samuelson?
You know what? Kevin is an amazing CEO. He really is. He is, he certainly is not afraid to get us all on a conference call at 4 a.m. if he thinks that's what's required to get a job done.
Right.
But he has vision. He's aggressive. He has no. He doesn't hold back at all on, if this is what we need to get a job done, then let's invest and get the job done, and let's get a job done quickly. And because, again, of the Coke investment, he has that ability to really look at his different business units and say, okay, this is where we need to spend. And hospitality is a great example of that, Alan, because, Kevin, like us all, believe that everybody has sort of pent up cabin fever, right? We're already seeing that a little bit in the United States, where things like beach resorts are already getting back up there to 80-90% occupancy, because people want to go someplace. They're tired of COVID.
Right.
So Kevin is saying, all right, Jason, where do you need investment? So he's realistic. He knows that my numbers are probably still going to be lingering out there for another 6 to 9 months, but he's expecting that more hotels are going to be reopening, re-promoting. Airlines are going to start resuming full schedules, right? Right now, every time I get on an airplane, it's packed, but it's packed because they're flying less flights.
Right.
Right. But, that's all going to start changing. And Kevin knows that. So, he reads all the different industry reports. Very smart individual. And knows that hospitality is going to come out and be booming in probably another year or so.
So do you see, with your forecasting and looking at the market, obviously the leisure type of market has been doing very well, because it's not as painful, to be quite honest, to travel to. It's more of an environment where you're going to have a good time, and that's what people need right now.
Right.
Obviously, the urban properties are still suffering. Are you seeing the urban properties starting to, reach out and say, okay, we need to make a game plan?
Some that is different by every region, I would say.
Right.
Right. So there are many of our customers who, and I was, as you just mentioned, I was in Europe meeting with many of our customers over there, and it was interesting because a lot of them are still suffering very low occupancy, but they've already, sort of put together their new SOPs for working in this COVID and even post-COVID world. So they're figuring out how they can keep their doors open and increase their profitability even at lower occupancy levels. So we're certainly seeing a lot more of that. And because, a lot of hotels just kept their doors closed.
Right.
But they couldn't keep their doors closed indefinitely. It was either, all right, am I going to sell the property, or am I going to figure out how to open this property and make money just with lower occupancy levels? So that is the game plan changes that we're seeing a lot in Europe and starting to see more and more in the United States, especially in our gaming markets, right? These gaming hotels that have 1,000+ rooms, but they're running right now at 50% occupancy. Sometimes even lower than that, but they're figuring out how to maximize that revenue to keep these mega hotels open, because they're certainly making a decent amount of money on the gaming floor, right? So it's reduce housekeeping offerings, reduce the amount of front desk staff by using more efficient technologies to keep people checking in and checking out. So those types of things that they're just adapting, and that's just what that's what the world does. It's what everybody does, right? When you can't do anything else, you adapt.
Right. So this is a bit of a flyer question, but Hospitality Net, we published an article, a World Panel article a little while ago about robotics and self-service. Is that something that Infor is looking at? Is that kind of way down on the wish list, or? It's wild because there are two very different opinions. There's the opinion of never going to fly, because that's the hotel industry, and then there's the opinion of we got to get there somehow.
You know what? I don't think so. My opinion is it will fly, but it will only fly in certain markets, right? And in our luxury markets, I don't think it will fly at all. No,
Right.
I think guests will always want the butler service, or that's why they go to those types of hotels. To limited service, yeah, I foresee there will come a day that it could be,
Right.
Danger Will Robinson, serving you there at the front desk, right?
No kidding.
And people will look at it and say, yeah, I think I'm going to check in on my phone because that thing scares me. So.
Right. Exactly. That's awesome. So, last question, and this is kind of an important one. Where do you see Infor Hospitality in the next 12 to 18 months based upon everything that you've been through and everything that you've seen?
Yeah. Well, so we're already back to a growth rate, which is nice. So everything that I'm seeing is, I think it's going to be another 12 to even 24 months to where we're back at the rate of growth that we were pre-pandemic. But that with Coke's investment, we will continue to invest in solutions, find ways to get new innovative products out there. In fact, we have some very cool things that I'm not going to leak right now, but we will be showing at HITEC. So I hope everybody
Perfect.
comes to our booth and takes a look at some of the new innovations we're coming out with next spring. And we're just going to continue to do what we do best. Serve our customers. We are poised for growth because of our investment with Coke and Infor, and we're very excited that as we emerge out of COVID, that we will have the technologies, the investment, everything that we need to be able to service the industry that I've loved and have worked in for, as you said, for 24
Right.
years, and plan to work in this industry for another 24 years if they'll let me.
Yes, it does get under your skin, and it's hard to get out of it. I think I tried getting out of it once, and it was horrific. So I jumped right back in. So, listen, Jason, this has been truly a pleasure, and please do me a favor and say hello to all the folks that may know that I'm still alive and well up in Ontario. And I look forward to seeing you in Dallas in a few weeks.
I look forward to seeing you too, my friend.
All right.
Thank you for today. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much, Jason. Talk soon.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.